As-Sabiqun wa rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala-salah. Hayya ala-salah. Hayya ala-falah. Hayya ala-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astaghfiruhu wa astaghfiruhu wa uminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu arsalahu bil huda wa dinil haqq liyudhhirahu ala ad-din kullihi wallahu kariha al-mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأوثق الأمور كلمة تقوى وخير الملال ملة إبراهيم وخير السنن سنة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأشرف الحديث ذكر الله وأحسن القصص هذا القرآن وخير الأمور أوزنوها وشير الأمور محدثاتها وأحسن الهدي هدي الأنبياء وأشرف الموت قتل الشهداء وأشرف الموت قتل الشهداء وأشرف الموت قتل الشهداء وأما الأمر دلالة بعد الهدى وخير الأعمال ما نفاء وخير الهادي ما اتباع وشير الأمة أما الكلام. The Prophet ﷺ has said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, the book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is Taqwa, or fear of Allah, or muttaqi. You know, in the Muslim world, you don't hear the people demand too much muttaqi leadership. Muttaqi leadership is leadership where the leaders have taqwa. They guard and they safeguard and they protect their way of life by following the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's known as muttaqi leadership. The best of the community is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. Best acts are the ones that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah ya'muru bil-'adli wal-ihsani wa ita'i dhil-qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal-munkari wal-baghi ya'idhukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nasi ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best peoples ever raised up for mankind, because you enjoin the right, you forbid the wrong, and you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wattaqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O you who believe, fear Allah as he should be feared, and do not die except in the state of Islam. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. This is one of the core ayats. Whole Quran is core, but there's a few core ayats. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. In fact, they almost sing this as a song in South Africa, because they have so much fitna that they know the importance of this. And hold fast all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. So, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا, technically it means, and hold on to the rope which Allah stretches out to you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. But in this asama, from atasimu, in the Arabic language in the old days, they referred to the capital city as Asam. That means it's the capital city. Why? It was fortified, it was a fortress, and it protected the Muslims. So what this ayat is technically saying, fortify yourself, defend yourself, unify yourselves, and use that unity as a force of protection and security against the hostile forces of Islam, the anti-Islamic forces. So fortify yourself, protect yourself, safeguard yourself. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Defend yourself by holding on to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is, of course, is Islam. But with that Islam comes all the hope and aspirations and visions of the Muslims, and do it all together. Jami'an. وَتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Like today is Salatul Jum'ah, the closed fist is jam, al-yad, from the same unit, from the same word. By coming to Jum'ah, Salatul Jum'ah today, by acting in a time of danger, because there's a lot of people not having Jum'ah because, or anything else. Now we have the Masjid, but we don't have, and it's open. But it's not, we don't have Jama'ah prayers and Jama'ah. You know, you can come in anytime you want. Or if it's only a few people here, we'll have it, everybody be stretched out. But the thing is, it's open. And we don't care what they say about a virus. Because the virus of un-Islam, the virus of disunity, is way more deadly than whatever this coronavirus is, right? The disunity we have amongst the Muslims today, the fitna, and the house of fitna, Ali Saud, Saudi Arabia, starts fitna all over the world. I mean, Boko Haram, any fitna that you usually see in the world today, it comes, the root of it, and the support of it, and the financing comes out of Saudi Arabia. That's why the United States don't have nothing against the fitna that you're finding now in Africa. Africa didn't have all of that. They had their local little tribal fitnas and this shape fitna, that, or usually it was which movement or which organization you belong to, you know, over there. You know, whether you were Tijani, Qadiriya, or, you know, what have you. But it wasn't the type of fitna, the murder that's going on today. That comes from Ali Saud in Saudi Arabia. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَتَعْصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا, and hold on all together by the rope which Allah stretches out to us, and be not divided amongst yourselves. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba alladhina min qablikum la'alakum tuflihun. O you believe fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, that you may learn self-restraint. When we study religion, we'll find that most religions had some aspect of fasting, some system, some methodology, or some process. But it reaches its higher level in Islam. Of course, the Jews fast. The Christians, believe it or not, used to fast, or Catholics used to fast, especially on Fridays. If you remember when we went to school, the Catholics would all be, but it was a juice fast, and people ask us now, you mean you're not going to have nothing to eat? And not a little juice? What about a couple of crackers or something? Because that's what they used to do. Then they cut it back to, well, we just won't eat no meat on Friday. That's why Catholics, when we were younger, had fish on Friday, because it wasn't considered a meat, although it's high in protein. So anyway, fasting is prescribed for you. That means it is like going to a doctor and getting a prescription for illness. Tazkiyah bil nas is the general prescription, right, for the general illnesses of the human makeup. Tazkiyah bil nas. Tazkiyah, like zakat, tazkiyah, purification of the nafs. Purification of the nafs. And so, when it says about fasting, it's talking about gaining self-control and self-mastery over your behavior. Correct yourself. Safeguard yourself. By fasting. Safeguard your behavior. How? By fasting. Protect yourself from all the illnesses of the environment. How? By tasqiyah bin nas, the purification or the cleansing of the nas. So, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum. I mean, fasting, there's a prescription. It's like going to the doctor to get a prescription for whatever illness you got, right? Now he give you a prescription, you go down to the drugstore and you fill that prescription. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, fasting is prescribed. It is a prescription for you to safeguard yourselves from all of the fitness that the body is going to produce, like the horse and the rider, right? The horse, you know, when we was younger in Oakland, we'd go up in the hills as equestrians. They would ride the horses. And the horses, we would want to do like on the cowboys, you know, take them horses real fast. These are stable horses. And they let us know, no, we ain't into that. So one day I'm kicking the horses and everything, and then there's a limb. They got way more sense than niggas do, don't believe me. There's a limb coming out, you know, it's coming out. Now the horse got enough sense to know that he can get under that limb. But whoever's sitting on top of him is a goner. So here I am, boogity, 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 kicking him all in the sides and whipping him with my little belt. He runs under that, that's the last time I ever whooped a horse in my life. Because it actually hurts, you know, because he almost looked like he weighed and measured and everything. And it's designed to hit you right in the forehead. So here you are, and that horse say, yeah, you want to ride, huh? Here you go. And he takes you under that limb. Bam! And you gone, you see? So, if the horse take you where you want to go, you ain't going that far. You're going at his speed. Why? The horse is the body. The horse is the body. The human being is the horse. And then if the rider is the spirit and the bridle. The bridle, which goes in, it directs that horse, right? That body where you want it to go. Fasting is written for you. It is a bridle, right? To control this mechanism called the body. It will direct and lead you, right? The bridle or the rider, right? Me and you, we're the rider, supposedly, riding the body. You want the body to be a servant of Allah? You want the body to be a service, as of service to the Islamic movement? Do you want the body to help the Islamic movement, right? When you see the Muslims all around the world facing challenges, do you want the body to be an aid and assistance and a unity for all of those people? Well, then you're going to have to direct it over there. This is what purification of the nas do. This is what that bridle, to control your nas, because your nas say, oh man, here I'm in the U.S., and maybe I came over here to get a job. I'm a Muslim, but I came here to work. I don't want to jump up and down and holler about the problems of the Muslims. I'll come to Jum'ah, but that's about it, right? That's what your body going to tell you to do. Because your body wants your job, right? Your body wanted to be, your house to be cool in the summer and warm in the winter. It don't want no, you know. And your body is controlling you, so it's telling you, if you get involved in all of this siyasa, all of this politics in the world, right? America don't like that. And you got enough sense to know, because you watch TV and you can hear that America don't like no Islam, it don't like no Muslims, right? And it ain't gonna put up with that. So you say, I might as well be a nice, cozy, you know, Mickey Mouse type Muslim, and let me find out whether Mickey Mouse Muslims find out. And you get all the list, and you say, hey man, I got it going on. All the Muslims, 95% of the Muslims in America are insissified inside it. They're over there hiding, right? And protecting themselves, right? They're not going to get in no hot water, right? So the body, the horse is carrying them where they want to go, right? They want to ride by a nice stream, the American stream, the American beauty, and they want to ride in pretty cars. They don't want to, they got enough sense to watch TV, and they know where they came from. They know wherever they came from, it was fitna there, and whoever was causing that fitna was the Zionists, and whoever was behind the Zionists, the Americans, right? And whoever was associated with them, Saudi Arabia, they're the ones causing. I don't care whether you call them Boko Haram, I don't care whether you call them any group you can come up with, those fitna ones, the starting fitna, disunity amongst the Muslims and hatred amongst Muslims. They got Muslims right here in America. Oh, the Muslims used to be a nice crew. They got Muslims who walk right by you and won't even give you salams because they look you up and down and they say, this guy here is probably one of them so-and-sos. Somebody told them, but you know, maybe something about over here, right? They don't like it. I'm telling you, this is what happens. And they'll keep them people divided. And them people will kill you too. Boko Haram will kill other Muslims. Saudi Arabia, the richest Arab country in the world, is killing the Muslims next door in Yemen, the poorest country in the world, Arab country in the world, right? You think there's Taqwa bil nafs now? Who's carrying them where they need to go? Who's leading this herd? Jahiliyyah is leading that horse, the body. Jahiliyyah is in charge of this so-called, which could have been the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it's being led by American, been led by Zionists, and been led by the criminal organization in Saudi Arabia, right? A criminal organization in Saudi Arabia. Where's all these crooks getting their money? Boko Haram and all of them people. Why they come up with money all the time and me and you can't find no money? Why the good Muslims can't find no money and the ones that want to fight the other Muslims or want to walk by you, you give them a salam, they look the other way. Huh? That's a new sunnah. It's not the one we read about, right? But that's what they do. They turn their head. They see them people over there. They're not on the sunnah. So fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, a prescription. All people or religious people had some type of fasting. That you learn self-discipline, self-control. Who's going to lead this show? Is the horse, the body going to take you where it's going to go? Because that body ain't going to fast no whole lot because it don't want to go through no struggle of fasting, right? I mean, that calls for self-control, self-discipline. So which one is going to control you? Right? Is it the body, the horse, or the spirit? Right? Are you going to go through the process of Taqwa bil nafs? Right? Because that's what this process of Psalm of fasting helps and aids in the yearly process of cleansing, not only of toxins that your body builds up, but of the toxins of television, the toxins of radio, the toxins of all this stuff, right? The toxins of America, technically, is the toxins of the world. So we blessed that we get a fast once a year, every year, right? And our fast is so beautiful that they revolve around these Western years, you know, and that we're fasting now in April. 4 or 5 months ago, we was in the middle of the summer, right? Why? Because every 33 years, this cycle, or if our year is 54, 55 days, right? I mean, we have 10 or 11 less days per year. So, going backwards, of course, or clockwise, whatever you want to say, our fasting goes around the calendar. Now, for all of the nice folks that don't want too many challenges, we getting into the good part. Boy, look at here. And we won't get to know how nice is it fasting out that day. How about 3 months ago? 4 months ago? When you were fasting on July or June the 21st, the longest day of the year, right? And one of the hottest, right? And you're going to fast for probably 18 hours. Now you ain't fasting, but by the time you get up and run around the block 3 times, it's time to break the fast. And in December, you know, in Jahiliyyah, yes, it was Jahiliyyah, when we were members of the nation of, you know, Shirk, we fasted in December only. I think they'd have changed it now maybe 10 years ago. But we fasted in December. That was called Ramadan. We didn't even know it was an Arabic calendar called, and it was a month of Ramadan. We thought December was the holy month of Ramadan. And it's the shortest and the coolest. Look at here, you can't get no colder than December, and you can't get no shorter, because June 25th, December 25th, I think solstice, when the so-called sun stands still, and you're now moving to the shortest days, and on the 25th, it's going to start getting longer again. Just like the days now, we're getting longer and longer, right? By the end of Ramadan, we might get a few nice warm days. Now, when we were young, like another cycle back, because see, it's wonderful if you get, imagine if you get 2 cycles every 33 years. Suppose you get 2 cycles of fasting, right? That's all right. That means you've been around a little while. But see, after the second cycle, the first cycle, you like them long, hot days, because you know you're young, you like a challenge. But on this go-around, last go-around, going into this time of year, oh man, we're going to have them long, hot days. But this time, you know, you got a few more gray hairs, you're happy. You said, man, the Ramadan now has jumped into April, right? And pretty soon it's going to be in December. And all those are short, cool days. Although you still get the benefits of fasting. Look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala runs His universe. You're going to get some of everything. If you live long enough, right? You're going to get some nice, cool weather. And you may be fasting in August and July. And you're going to catch on fire. Boy, look at here. When you get ready to break the fast, you're going to be standing by the water trough, right there. And got a glass of ice and you're ready to go. Right? As soon as they call it down, you can't wait. Now people just cruise over and take their time. Right? But not in no July. Not in no August. Right? You're going to be standing right there by the table. In other words, Allah gives us siyam, fasting, all parts of the year, so we can get the benefits. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairil mursaleen محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا لقيتم فئة فاثبتوا واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وأطيعوا الله ورسوله ولا تنازعوا فتفشلوا وتذهب ريحكم واصبروا إن الله مع الصابرين. Oh, you believe, when you meet a force, be firm and call on Allah in remembrance much and often, that you may prosper. And obey Allah and the Messenger, and fall into no disputes, lest you lose heart and your power depart. And be patient and persevering, so Allah is with those who patiently persevere. The Quran, mainly the principles that we use, of course, here, but we like to mention them all the time. Of course, the Quran, which is ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This is the book, or that is the book, and it is guided sure, without doubt, to those who believe. So, that's our sphere of guidance. The Hidayah comes from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then, of course, we have the Hadith, or the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so, the Sunnah is an explanation and an added guide to certain details about religion, this world and the hereafter, that we wouldn't be getting details on. So it's the Quran and it's the Sunnah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Quran, travel in the earth. Travel in the earth and see what was the end of those before you, that you seek guidance. So travel in the earth also reflects on history. Study history. It's full of light and learning for those who are ready to accept the lessons of history. And then we have the third part, which deals with us. It's our own experience that we have. Now, each people in the world have their own personal experiences. So if they follow the Quran, if they follow the Sunnah, right, and if they study the realities of the world, the historical processes and the present realities, right, and then they channel all of that through their own experience, how they experience that. And basically, that's what we do here. So that's why we don't come up with an Arab experience here, although the Quran is in Arabic. We come up with, let's call it a Negro experience. Why? Because we've been right here in America. You got to follow the Quran, you got to follow the Sunnah, you got to follow the historical realities, and then what about us? How are we going to interpret all of this? Some of the things are strictly interpreted by the Quran. Some of the things are strictly related to us with some balance from the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of those things in history that we study and research, we can take the realities that we want. We're studying history. It's a study, right? We're studying the trends and the patterns. And each people that study that, right, may get the same but some tinted pictures of reality. Now we here in America have some pictures, history, that we have interpreted through this process, if you see what I'm talking about. So if somebody comes and tell us something, right, we don't want to hear their cultural expression, although we'll listen happily, of what Islam is saying. Because everybody, remember I'm going back 40 or 50 years, everybody taught us Islam based on where they came from. Everybody, they taught us. So the Arabs taught us one thing based on what they pictured as Islam. This is Islam. That's the way it goes. Pakistanis, which technically, Pakistanis was our best friends because Pakistanis was more like us in that, you know, in fact, if y'all remember our uniform, it was shalwar kameez, you know, because one of our leaders in those days was Maulana Maududi. And he was one of the people dealing with Islamic movement, and we could pick up a lot from that. In fact, when he came here in '72, he told his followers, that is now they're called ICNA, Islamic Circle. He told them, go with the Negroes, say what's happening, they got the picture. You know why? Because our brothers went up to New York with him and visited him in New York. A lot of brothers got pictures and everything. And they liked, he liked where we was coming from. He said these people is movement orientated, and he was moved. But let me get back to now. Everybody taught us their version of Islam. So Arabs taught us their version of Islam. Pakistanis taught us their version of Islam, right? And to tell the truth, Pakistanis was a little more easygoing. The Arabs was a little stiff, you know. If you look at America right now, you know what they following? They're following that Wahhabi brand of Islam. And it's stiff, it'll cut your throat, right? The hadith will tell you to smile at your brother. If you can't give him no zakat, no charity, no sadaqah, right? Just greet him with a smile. Them brothers study that stuff, they'll walk right by you and look the other way. Like that was almost some little hadith. They got one hadith out of me that says, you know, whatever it says. So we looked at Quran. We looked at the Sunnah. And we also looked at history. Right? And this is why we're followers of the Islamic movement in America. I'm telling you, and that's what we got, and we're going to stick with it. So far, alhamdulillah. Now, what does this tell us right here? Oh, you believe when you meet a force, be firm, and call Allah and remembers much, and often that you may prosper. So, this word, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, oh, you believe, it uses the word tabata. Tabata is be firm. You know, when you meet a force, be firm. Be very serious. Right? Exercise discipline. Exercise self-control. And call on Allah, the dhikr of Allah. Call on Allah much, kathiran. Ask Allah a lot and regularly. Right? Call on Allah often And the remembrance, talk about in the remembrance of Allah much and often that you may prosper. We say, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah. So, you know, come to prayer, come to success. So falah means success. Technically, that's what it means. Whatever you're endeavoring at this falah that you're hoping for and you're gaining is success. So we're calling on Allah, asking us that our deeds and our action make us successful. And when you get in hot water from the dunya, or when you get in trouble, or when you need assistance, you have to call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why you don't call on the believers in the brother? Sure, you come for a little zakah, a little, you know, support, and there's tons of hadith that demand that the Muslims treat each other like that. But the Muslims may not treat you like that. That's why you call on Allah. See, that's hadith to say there's no petition between Allah and the dua of the believer, right? So there's no petition, there's no separation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer your petition, especially if it's good for you. Allah may answer and it may not be good for you. You may be praying, oh Allah, give me a good husband and da-da-da-da-da, make him tall, make him have broad shoulders and all of that. And Allah give you that. Then find out you done married a bum. Right? But that's what you asked for. You didn't ask for piety, you know what I mean, and all that the person have taqwa and fear of Allah and all of that. You just wanted a nice looking brother. Right? And Allah gave you that nice looking brother. Or you may want a nice looking sister. Boy, I want this sister to be tenderfied, this, that, and another. And Allah give you that. A lot of people got married, they'd be back here a week later. And we need some marriage counseling. I said, well, I just married you last week, what's up? Man, alive. I said, but I remember when you was talking to me, this is who you was looking for. Shoot, that's your dream girl. What's happening? My nightmare. It ain't no dream girl, that girl's a nightmare. Because he was looking on the outside, he was thinking on the outside, right? And he wanted on the outside, and I said, yeah, go ahead, I'll hook you up. Just what you asked for. Because he didn't ask for no piety. If it was, it was way a little voice back in the back somewhere, right? Because he wanted someone that looked a certain way, right? That he would be happy with. And she, in return, wanted him as that type of person. And they got each other. And now they're trying to get wherever they can, as long as it's far away from each other, right? Because they wouldn't. Be careful what you ask for. Because Allah may give it to you. Just what you ask for. And also remember the people that looked over in the hellfire, they said, ooh, boy, I don't want to go down there. You know what I mean? And then Allah showed them what was surrounding the hellfire. Remember that hadith? They said, I don't think the people are going to miss the fire because it's too much. Then they showed them the paradise. Oh my goodness, boy, look again. Everybody going to go there, right? And then Allah showed them what's surrounding paradise. Struggle, sacrifice, discipline, self-control, right? So-called human disappointment, right? And fighting everybody half the time by yourself, right? He said, it might change your mind now. So, oh, I don't think nobody gonna. When they saw what they had to get to heaven, they said, I don't think too many people gonna make that. Yeah, this is hadith. Okay. So, oh, you believe when you meet a force, be firm and call on Allah in remembrance much and often that you may prosper. Obey Allah and His Messenger. Atiullah wa Rasulahu. Obey Allah and His Messenger. Wa atiullah wa Rasulahu. La tanazzahu. And fall into no disputes. What is the disputes going to do? فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ وَاصْبِرُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. And fall into no disputes. Rihukum is wind. It means do not get into arguments, or the wind will go out of your sails. That's technically what it means. The power, wind drives the sails, right? That's sort of power. Power comes from the wind. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using this word rihukum, ri means wind. I'm telling you what it says. It says, do not fall into no disputes. If you do, the wind will go out of your sails. In other words, all of your power will dissipate. Why do you think that the whole world is aiming at the Muslims to cause fitna amongst the Muslims? And why is it so easy to start fitna amongst the Muslims? I mean, big time fitna. I was standing on a corner when I was in, might have been Lahore, or it wasn't Lahore, it was Karachi. So, on each corner there was two big, beautiful masjid. One in this corner, one in that corner. You know what the people would do? Don't go over that masjid, that's a red masjid, or the blue, or the green. They do this over there. Right? And you know what the people over there said? Don't go over there, man. It's unbelievable. When I was in South Africa, the first time, this is years ago, so some of the brothers came by, like they have a group called Jamaat Tabligh. Y'all may not be familiar with them. Sometimes they don't come over here that much. Jamaat Tabligh comes out of India, Pakistan, and they go around and they talk to everybody about Islam. So, in South Africa, now, when we come from here and we go to South Africa, especially during apartheid and right after, I'm telling you, it's the most beautiful sight you ever seen. Hey man, you would go into neighborhoods and that whole neighborhood would be mostly Muslims. In the first place I stayed, I could walk right out of there and there was a masjid right up there, and all the Muslims, they loaded in for prayer and everything. And then, so the brothers came by, and said, hey, we want to go, y'all want to go do Jola or something, that's going around. I said, oh, y'all Jamaat Tabligh. He said, Sunni Jamaat Tabligh. That means it wasn't a regular Jamaat Tabligh, it was a Sunni Jamaat Tabligh. One was Deobandi, Sunni Jamaat Tabligh, and the other was Brelvi. Maybe y'all don't get hooked up and all of that, but the Brelvis are kind of nice guys, anything goes and it's okay. But the Deobandis is more like Saudis, more like Wahhabis, you know what I mean? They'll hurt you if you know, they will actually hurt you. All the hadith and the Quran about loving your brother and all of that. Hey, man, I said, oh, y'all Jamaat al-Tabligh, Sunni Jamaat al-Tabligh. I said, man, I didn't know this fitna was over here that bad, and it is. Out of all those men, we used to love South Africa so much because I was doing apartheid, and just after, all the neighborhoods were all Muslim neighborhoods, you know, because of separation. Now they integrating a little bit. So when you went into Indian neighborhood, it was a Muslim neighborhood, and there was a few in different cities, a few Hindus, but mostly you will see Muslims. And to us, I traveled all over the country many times, making lectures and what have you, and the people liked it. Believe it or not, the people overseas, they love Negroes. Y'all, yes they do. You know what they like more than anything? Not just the rap music, but the way we talk. The way we talk. They say that's a drawl that they have. Like if you get to talking to them, they're going to say, man, they like that voice. Now people tell you that don't nobody like Negroes, or nobody like Negroes. We the white folks here, we're the only one that can't make himself say like you, but you know what I mean. Well, we have some relationship with you. Man, everybody like Negroes. I'm telling you, again, I was in one place. No, now I'm in Pakistan, going down the street. This, of course, when I was younger and looked more athletic. All the kids was following me. You know why? They thought I was a cricket player. Why? Because Pakistan was a part of the British Empire, Pakistan and India, and all the kids like cricket. You know that old cricket, it ain't baseball, but it's cricket. Well, it's cricket, it's really a cricket, you know. But they like that. So a lot of the top cricket players come from the islands. They're black, right? The old British Empire, Jamaica and all of that. So they thought I was one of them. Here they come, just follow you around. People in South America used to follow you around thinking, well, they thought I was a boxer then. So now wherever they go, and you think about Tupac and all them people, man, in South Africa, they got every detail. They asking me questions. I said, I don't know all of that stuff, man. They got it in detail. They like us. People like us. Now what we got to do, and I'm just going to jump, we got to get hold of some good Islam, keep what we got, and take it around the world. If they follow everything we sing and dance and turn flips, I'm telling you, the people are paying attention to us. But we leave them with what boss man give us. Shake the booty and all of that. If we go around the world with Islam, guess what? Here they come. The world. That's why we got a lot to do and we got a lot of blessings. Okay. فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. Least you lose heart and your power go away. This wind, this power, rihukum, it means if you fall into disputes, that's why we don't respond to other people. Now, how many of you have heard rumors about this masjid? Rumor this, rumor that. They Shias over there, they this over there, they that over there. They bury little children, they drink blood. Anything you can think of, they say it about us, right? I mean, I'm sure all of y'all, you done heard some of the rumors. You come over here, you say, man, they're on the sun over there. That's if you come yourself. But it ain't but 2 or 3 people gonna come to find out, because they're gonna listen to their home folks, right? And what they're gonna find out is, yeah, we adjusting to Islam in reality. So it works for us according to Quran, according to the Sunnah, according to the historical process, and our own adaptation in the environment in which we live. And that's what we're going to get to in a minute, although we won't be that long. So, obey Allah, obey the Messenger, and fall into no disputes, lest you lose heart and your power depart. It's basically saying the wind will go out of your sails, because re means wind, right? And that's the power that we have of Jama'ah. But if we fall into disputes and argumentation, the wind will go out of our sails, right? Okay, so be patient, persevering. For Allah is with those who do what? Patiently persevere. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu hariri al-mu'minun. O Prophet, oh no, Ya ayyuha an-nabi hariri al-mu'minun. O Prophet, rouse the believers to fight. Rouse the believers. Rouse the believers. Excite the believers. Don't put the believers to sleep. Wake them up. Because there's a war going on in the world. And I don't care whether it's Africa, Asia, the Middle East. These people are unified and trying to destroy Islam. Right? And there was a time when it was only a few people, but now there's mixtures falling together and forming, let's call it a strategic alliance. You look at the history, over 40 years ago, Iraq under Saddam Hussein attacked Iran. But now, Iran and Iraq are having some friendly, good, stable relations. Years ago, in the time of Hafiz Assad, Bashir Assad's daddy, and that family is Alawiyya. Alawiyya means Ali's Allah, not Allah. It's funny, but there are Arabs that have, they fall out and the black man is God. Can you imagine the nation of Islam? Who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, cream of the planet Earth, and father of civilization, God of the universe, the Negro, that's him. Isn't that what it said? Student enrollment, number 2. You had to learn it by heart, right? Now that's not shirk. That's something that's not even named for it. It's so far out. The Negro is God. I mean, I'm not down on black people, but I mean, we could figure out something. Even a stone, you know, is hard. The Negro is hard when white folks want him to be, and soft when they want him to be. He don't lose his character. But anyway, who is the original man? That was the question. The original man. This is not shirk. This is super something else. It's not associated. Shirk means to associate. This is not associating partners with Allah. This is full-fledged coonery. I mean, just exponentially, not even mathematically. I mean, it's really out there. But anyway, so, for us, this unity provided by Islam, staying unified and disciplined, or the winds will go out of our sails, right? All of these things, we living here in America have been raised in an environment where we know how valuable unity, discipline, and self-control is. Why? Because we haven't had much. every time, well, everybody know, every time we had a leader, I don't care if it was Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all the other peoples that we've been knowing, you know, Medgar Evers and them, everybody, right? Boss man come by and knock them over because they said kill the head and the body will die. So they assassinated every leader that we had, or we have had. But we live in a time where we have to evolve behind all our, above and beyond all our past leaders. Martin Luther King only had a corner of the message because he was a Christian. He couldn't get the whole, he didn't have access to it, right? He could get a liberation, love, peace type of thing, but he couldn't go all the way. Malcolm couldn't give it to us because they saw where he was coming from right away and they killed him. He didn't even, I've only heard one record where he said his shahada correctly. Because when he went to Egypt, the brothers seemed like it was Equanics. And it was because of where he went after that. But he went over there and they told him, man, that stuff y'all practicing over there, it don't have nothing to do with no Islam. And when it said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, right? Shahadatain, they said it don't have nothing to do with Elijah Muhammad, don't have nothing to do with the 24 scientists. Y'all know the 24 scientists, the people that wrote this history way before it happened. Y'all got to get up on these secret lessons. I would just tell you, this is a joke. When I became, well, let's call it a true Muslim, I was in the penitentiary in Leavenworth, and I was coming out, I'd been a captain in the Nation of Islam, and we had secret lessons. If you got them, you had the good stuff. So I asked him, man, in fact, the brother was in the Dar al-Islam movement. And I asked him, I said, how did y'all all become Muslims, man? I mean, them Sunni Muslims. How y'all become Sunni Muslims? He said, well, he said, very simple. I was in our organization, black organization, discipline, self-control, revolutionary. He said, my job was to, they put me on studying the Muslims and studying Islam, while all our people were moving over to Islam, right? He said, I studied it and I came on over. So I said, now back to my question, the secret lessons, the special lessons y'all got. He said, here it is. He gave me the Quran. It was the Yusuf Ali translation. And he gave me the old Sahih Muslim, English translation only. And he said, I said, what else I need? He said, you don't need nothing but them. And I hope that brother's still alive so I can find him someday and thank him for giving me the secret lessons. That I had to get no other lessons, right? Now Sahih Bukhari, they both Sahih. Sahih Bukhari, let's say one's 98%, the other one's 100%. But they, sometime, well, Sahih Muslim is translated into English in all the footnotes, you know. So it was very helpful. Anyway, I don't want to tire y'all out. I was going to go a little longer, but I'm just going to wrap this up. So remember, dear believers, we live in a special time. I want to read a little thing, one or two little things. Radical Islamic group tries to branch out. This is from the Zionist accuracy in media and what have you. One of America's most radical homegrown Islamic groups has opened 2 new centers focused on the Zionist American threat, a thinly veiled reference to the group's anti-Semitic and anti-American message. Anti-Semitic and anti-American. Maybe anti-American, but not anti-Semitic. And have any of y'all ever seen any of those videos when we was hanging out with the Jews, the Natura Karte? Anybody seen any of those where they all there and I'm waiting for the rabbi to finish talking? He turned, oh, our friend. And he turns to all his young Jewish students and said, this is our friend. Anybody ever seen that? Okay, so some have. So it's not anti-Jewish, it's anti-Zionist. See, a lot of people don't know, they don't get to understand it. But the real Jews, you know they're real Jews, because if it's 100 degrees outside, they got them fur hats and big old heavy clothes on, and they black, and the stuff is black too. I said, man, y'all got it down. Y'all got it down way more than our sisters. You know, they wearing black niqab and everything. And I said, man, y'all got that on, plus fur hats. Right? You ever seen them? I said, man, y'all got it going on. So you know they're serious about their religion. But it's not anti-Jewish. It's anti-Zionist. And we'll get into that on another time. For 30 years, Masjid al-Islam, As-Sabiqun, has been carrying on a direct face-to-face struggle against the monolithic Zionist American regime. Abdul Ali Musa is on an urgent appeal to support the new Institute of Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Y'all never seen the sign, but we had a sign, especially in Oakland. As soon as they attacked our community, the first thing they tore down was that sign. Because everybody would be driving down the street, and they would turn, especially the Arabs, you know, a lot of Arabs in Oakland, the store owners and all. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. We are an anti-Zionist American psycho-guerrilla warfare movement, the appeal said. We use all available tools found in our environment in exposing the anti-Islamic, anti-human policies of the Zionist American system. Other flyers explain that the Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare's primary goal is to counter the concerted efforts of the enemies of Islam to sustain a false characterization of Islam and Muslims as a dangerous threat to global stability and tranquility. The mission has already led Sabiqun to identify involvement of Islamic terrorists in 9/11 and to characterize the acts of Hamas and Hezbollah as justified war on the Jews. That's not what we said. We said 9/11, we didn't have nothing to do with it. That's what we said. Right? And we said Hamas just means electrified, enthusiastic, ready to go, right? That's what Hamas is. It means that you're energized, souped up, ready to go. Ain't nothing wrong with that, right? And so those are our friends, or they were our friends. We still their friends. Okay, that characterized the acts of Hamas and Hezbollah as justified war on Jews. Again, they wrote this, justified war on Jews, not the Zionists. After all, you know, can you imagine that Palestinians were there just enjoying themselves post-World War II, and here come boatloads of people from Poland and everywhere else, right? get off the boat, and they said, this is your land, that's your land, and they have one incident after another. Pretty soon, 47, they have a war, and by 48, they had taken a whole slice of Palestine. After 6-7 war, they took Jerusalem. What I'm trying to tell you is, we're Islamic here. Islamic means that we are ultra-national. That means above and beyond nationalism. And our nationalism, or our nationhood, is Islam and Islamic peoples. Okay. So, I'm not going to go over all of the ayats that I want to go. So I'm just going to say a few things real quick. We talked about Hariri al-Mu'minun, rouse the believers. Wake the believers up, man. There's something that we call the tyranny of dead ideas. The tyranny of dead ideas are things like white supremacy, America will rule, you know what I mean, black inferiority, all those things are tyranny, and they're dead ideas. And what we want to deal in is real things. White folks call it opium, like opium. What's the name says it? Not Karl, it was. Opium, religion is the opium of the people, right? That's what he said. So we call it an hopium, but it's hope, it's fire, it's enthusiasm, right? And we need a good juice, a good... Now, when you look at America, and I'll move toward a close. When you look at America now, it's the leader of disbelief, but it's falling apart fast. In 1968, there was something happened in Vietnam. Would you turn the heat down a little bit? It was, anybody ever heard of the Tet Offensive in 1968? The Tet Offensive was during the New Year of Asian, Chinese New Year type thing. The Tet Offensive was when everybody thought, it was 68, that the whole movement over there was finished. The Vietnam War would soon be over. America would be coming home victorious, like World War II and all that. They had the Tet Offensive. The Tet Offensive is when the whole Vietnam rose up. The Tet Offensive was a nationwide struggle. The North Vietnamese against America and South Vietnam. You should have saw, if you want to just see it, look at the episode of the Vietnam War. It was dark days for America. I'm telling you, they swooped up out of there. And technically, the Tet Offensive it was not a victory in one way. It was a failure. But it was a victory in America. Why? Because they had been telling America, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, we're going to go home in a little while, bring all the boys home, and it didn't do that. It didn't do that. What it did was, it showed that the North Vietnamese had the ability to do a nationwide campaign and scare the bejesus out of the Americans, which they did. We're living in that period right now. You would look at Islam and you would think that we're losing, right? That the whole world is unified against Islam. And in America, you can't go to no masjid and find nobody talking about the Islamic movement. They're talking about everything else but that, right? how you wear your socks, how you wear your shoes, how you do this, right? And they're not talking about when we came in, it was Islamic movement. That was a purpose for Islam. We were to become Muslims, and we were to bring America. At that time, it was bring most black people to Islam. But nowadays, the mission that incorporated the whole world, right? And so, that mission that we had in those days was a transmigrational mission. If we started in the 60s, the black movement or freedom riders, right, and Martin Luther King and integration and all of that, then at the end, it moved to black power. Y'all remember the black power? Black power? Guess y'all younger than I. Anyway, it's okay. But that was the move. Black power, black people need power. That was a call for a while. Black power. Then BLA, Black Liberation Army. A lot of my friends are part of the Black Liberation Army. And they got stuff on TV about great things that happened, but your people did some of the same thing. They had one of our sisters, Joanne Chesamar, going to court there on the New Jersey Turnpike. Shoot, our brothers blocked that off and took her out of there, right? Had a lot of other stuff like that. She's been in Cuba since that time. But what I'm trying to tell you is that we did heavy feats, but that was only the introduction. By 1970, 72, all of a sudden you saw leaders like Imam Jamil saying, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, and he was one of the main leaders, right? You got to think about what people are thinking about of the black movement, because that was Martin Luther King, right? Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, right? Remember those names? Kwame Ture, and H. Rap Brown. That's Imam Jamil Al-Amin. He's in prison today, going blind in prisons because of Muslims. Well, anyway, it's a long story. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This Haridi al-Mu'minun means rouse the believers. The pathway to history is not closed. There's a wide open gap for us to walk through. I believe the world is waiting on us, right, to understand what our mission is, right, and that we can help the world come on through the salvation door to Islam. That's the way we look at it. From America. Part of your mission, but it's your mission if you choose it. If you can't mix your mission right now, right this minute, they done turn our masjid into crackpot houses. The people done sit up in there and went crazy. And they got everybody following. Right now, in America, you ain't no Islamic, well, ain't no such thing as Islamic movement. And they got everybody agreeing with it. As though ain't nobody reading the Quran, right? They're definitely not reading the Hadith. And nobody's following the pattern of history, traveling the earth, see what happened historically. They're not doing it, but if they did, they would see you in a different sight. What happened to the Arabs? You know, Alexander the Great went around, he conquered India and all of that stuff. Then he came back around the top of Arabia. And he sent spies down to Arabia. And they said, well, what did you see? He said, man, it ain't nothing down there. Those people drink and fight and you can't, it ain't nothing worth taking. Right? Ain't nothing worth taking. Them jokers down there say, hey man, ain't nothing happening. You win one, you'll lose 1,000. It ain't nothing worth it down there. Desert. Those same people, right? Because Alexander came over He took over Iran or Persia and India and all of those. Those were big empires, right? And he came back right across Arabia and he established on top of Egypt, Alexandria. Alexander, you know, right? Alexandria in Egypt. It ain't way down in Egypt, right at the top. And then he went on back to Greece. And they left those people alone. And that is the same spot and the same people that light and learning spread all over the world. Isn't that right? Because he wasn't supposed to go down there and spoil nothing. He wasn't supposed, a lot of left it that got it down there doing what they do. And when the light hit them, they're going to take that light all over the world. There's the same chance you got right now. Don't nobody expect nothing to come from you. They're just a bunch of niggas. And they shoot you down in the street. Anytime they got 9 or 10 cases. Chicago just went through the little video, the 13-year-old boy, they shot him down, he's gone. The other man, they just choke him on the ground for I don't know how many minutes. And then they're saying, I ain't guilty, right? This is right. That Allah gave that authority to people who were considered of no account in the land. And that's what people think about us. Niggas ain't worth nothing. And they tell all other Muslims the same thing. Because they have other Negroes, like me and you, they go around to all of those big masjids. And they sit out there, they beg for this, and they park an old car in the driveway and leave it there, right? And they go all over. And I'm saying I've already seen all this because I've been to many of the Masjid in America, and I'm going to make a second trip in a minute. Look at here. They designed, people are coming to Islam, well, let's give them the ugliest picture we can. They send people who look like me and you around to hang around all the brothers. It ain't like the old days. Boy, if you wanted a good time, a good feeling, when all of us Pakistanis had everybody, when they were students, I'm going to go back 40 years ago, this was when the first big group of Muslim students are here. And guess what they were shocked at? To see Muslims in America. Because they didn't come here, they come here to get an education, they came here for that type of thing, right? But while they was here, look what they've done. Hey man, and when we first started, the Muslims prayed in the basement of the church at Portland State. They prayed in little apartments. Somebody's apartment was the Masjid, right? They had little lines of prayer. That's the way they was in those days. But they were so happy, and when they saw us, you're a Muslim? Sure. You know how to Fatiha? Well, then we play with it. We know the same story because, you know, if you're a Negro Muslim, you can't know a whole lot. And we got to doing itikaf in the masjid and hanging out, and pretty soon they were shocked that it was a movement in America, an organized, structured Islamic movement. As good as theirs, as good as Maulana Maududi's, well, it wasn't as good because it wasn't as developed, you know. Jamaat Islami, kind of Ikhwani type, you know. All the rules we had was basically those type. Then the government got up on us and they busted us up. They killed, they destroyed, and they caused fitna all over America. Now the Negro Muslim community is sleepier than the immigrant community. See, the immigrant used to be different. We was halfway woke, and the immigrants was asleep. They just wanted a job to do their work that they wanted. But now, something did, boss man, you know, anyway, he did his thing, And so the Negroes is quieter, right? And scarier and more divided. The African American community have exploded and they don't do nothing. They sit up in the Masjid and read hadith about how to be mad at somebody else. Another Negro. And that Negro ain't did nothing to him. They ain't on the Sunnah. The Sunnah? What are you talking about? And they got 2 or 3 hadith. I ain't going to get into that because we love everybody. Y'all know we do. Although they say that we barbecue little children over here. They say something because you notice, you see how it is. Right? Y'all have heard all the rumors. And I'm going to close with this. People don't know the time that they're living in. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little funny. You know where you can domesticate an animal? You know, cow, dog, you domesticate it. If you live long enough and you got enough desire and belief, you can domesticate this white man. Yes, you can. You can domesticate him. His time is up. Remember, you study history. What do you see on the news? So many Asians got killed in Atlanta, right? So many white folks got shot up in Colorado. And I think somebody today, didn't they shoot about 7 or 8 people in Indiana? They just shot them today. Okay, those are crackpots. They're trying to get the guns taken out of your community. And they got Negroes, we got to get guns out of our community. You better get guns in your community to protect yourself. You support that Second Amendment, right? What was the Second Amendment for? It was the citizens would have the right to protect themselves against the government, not your neighbor. That's what the Second Amendment is about, the right to bear arms. Who was writing that? The Americans that had just fought the British, right? Who won the war? Minutemen. They didn't have big traditional armies in those days, right? They had farmers and everybody, they called them Minutemen. They'd call them together, they all hunted, they all knew how to shoot, and they would come and they would spend so much time in a military structure. They're the ones that defeated the greatest empire in the history at that time, the British Empire. So the rest of the people of the world didn't have a right to bear arms. That's why the Americans said, hey, we gonna have the right to have guns. See, you can't, in Britain, you can't just go down and buy a gun. You may be able to buy a shotgun, you gotta register it if you're gonna shoot quail and all of that. But you can't buy all the guns here. I'm gonna close in a minute, take your time. I went over to a gun show there in Baltimore. So, back there was an FBI agent took me over there. Well, he wasn't an FBI agent, he was an FBI police, a Negro. A Negro FBI, you know where they got the FBI police, they wear uniform anyway. So he said, yeah, just buy yourself anything you want. I said, well, you can get me such and such and such, but you gotta buy it, I ain't gonna buy it. So he would have to sign for it. They were trying to set me up. So I said, sure, go ahead. You know. And I looked at the people there at that gun show, the white folks, poor white folks, they would have them carts with bullets, boxes of bullets. You know, lead is heavy. And them strong-looking white folks was pushing a cart and take 2 of them to push the cart. See at the golf course. Full of lead bullets. And niggas don't have but 1 little box of bullets. That's all. And the police come, what do you do? I used to watch the Negro run across the street. They throw their guns. Right? They all packing. And when the police come, they throw their guns away. But when the Negro come, they competitor, they blast him all. They blast him and they blast everybody in the house. Right? And I tell people the safest place, if it's a Negro coming to get you, right, is stand right in front of him. Right? Because this Negro gonna have a high-powered weapon, and it's gonna be brrrr everywhere, but where he trying to hit, he gonna kill all the babies, all the grannies, he gonna kill all of them, and the nigga he's trying to get, he may hit him too, if he lucky. And you go to the movie, the Negroes holding pistols sideways. You ever see them do that at the gun range? No, they got them boys, right? But who's holding? And the nigga, they say, you put a silencer. I watched one movie, they said the nigga put a potato on him. Well, it wasn't boys in the hood, it was something like that. A silencer? The nigga stuck a potato on the end of it. That's what they teach us. We watch their movies, they don't do that. That's why they kill us like flies, right? They kill us like flies. Because we don't train. Them white boys train. And all the white folks, you go in their house, you don't see no gun racks in no Negro house. White folks, that whole wall right there, and maybe around there, full of guns. And at the bottom, full of bullets for each gun they got, right? That's the country we live in. Well, one safe thing about it is, we better get some guns in a hurry to protect ourselves. But we're not the main enemy anymore for America. Wahda, unity, America is unifying us. And I'll definitely close with this. They're killing all kind of people, Asians and other people, right? And you know who used to be the main enemy of Negroes? Y'all remember the rebellion in 92 when they beat Rodney King to death in LA? And they had all of those store burnings and everything. If you would go into a Korean store, look on the internet and you'll see line after line of AR-15s to shoot at Negroes. Because see, the Koreans hated us and we didn't. They own all the stores, but they, you know, you ain't gonna burn us out, nigga. And now, whether you're Korean, Pacific Islanders, all people of color, all their organizations are unifying, becoming friendly. What does that mean? It means a little. It means that the minority, starting a few years ago, especially in California, is not no more people of color. And when you unify all the people of color in America, right? And don't talk about Latinos. Shoot, they passed us up 20 years ago, and I mean flying. Why, that's 39 million Negroes, 39 million Latinos. In the next few days, they had 45 million, 50 million, I don't know how many it is now. Right? But we have to be unified. Not only, we want to take Islam to the world, but we don't need to force Islam down nobody's throat. What we got to be is a voice for good, a voice for stability, and a voice for kindness. So, for Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful. Keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want. وقلت السلام آمين إقامة الصلاة